Welcome to the video, and in this video I want to share with you my setup for capturing behind the scenes, point of view and vlog style videos around my photography. In recent weeks I've headed out and captured loads of these style videos, and I've absolutely loved making and sharing them with you. And I think this is owing to the fact that I finally dialed in this setup. I've created something that's not cumbersome, not intrusive, but doesn't compromise on quality. And after much trial and error, I think I'm finally there. I want to share this with you because if you've ever tried to do it, you'll know that trying to shoot, concentrate and capture beautiful photos at the same time as trying to capture behind the scenes and document the location, the process and the outcome is really, really difficult to do by yourself. So I hope you find this useful because there's been a few questions as to how I create these videos. So without further ado, let me get into the setup. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, I wanted to create a really simple and easy to use setup. So I went with a one camera setup, and after much deliberation, I decided to choose and pull the trigger on the DJI Osmo Action 4. This I pair up with my Sony a7C Mark II. This is my photo camera that I use with a variety of lenses, currently set up with my favorite 40mm lens. But back to the DJI. This is the camera that I use for all the behind the scenes content. I think its size to quality ratio is absolutely amazing. It's durable, and I think it provides a really nice, raw, organic and natural feel to the footage. It's not too polished, and just being able to use this camera in various setups on various mounts allows me to capture lots of different kind of creative angles while I'm just shooting by myself. And one of the biggest pros that I found moving over to the DJI from what I've previously used GoPro is this magnetic mounting system. And I think, to be honest, this was a real seller on it for me because it enables me to switch between mounts so easily and it doesn't really interrupt my shooting, and it just allows me to add a little bit of variety for you when you're watching those style videos. So that's the camera itself. It's tiny, it fits in your pocket, it fits on a mount, it can mount to the top of my camera, and that leads me nicely into the mounts that I use to capture all of my shots. Okay, so the primary mounting option for me, and what's been a real game changer because it's so easy to do, and I probably record about at least 60 to 70% of my shots from this point of view, is where the DJI is mounted on top of my Sony. It gives such a nice point of view style frame. You can see part of the lens and the environment that I'm shooting, and I think it gives you a really good insight into what I'm looking at. And I think it looks so nice when you see that and then you flip onto the image that I've captured, because it just gives you an insight into how it looks different from your eye to what it does through different lenses. So for this, there's two really, really important little parts to the mount. So both of them are made by a company called Small Rig, who make really nice little adapters, good quality at a reasonable price point. Firstly, you need a cold shoe adapter. So it just simply slides into the cold shoe mount on your top of your camera and converts to a quarter thread mount on top of there. So it enables you a bit of a front and back rotation so you can tilt the camera. And then on top of that, I have another Small Rig mount. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, one of the real plus points of the DJI cam is it has this magnetic mount. It has two mounting options. So you can either flip the feet down and you get that traditional style foot slot like the GoPro Pro style mount. You might find that useful if you have some mounts that use that, or you can flip them flat and then you can screw directly into a quarter thread mount, which is perfect for this setup. So I just screw that onto there and then I am good to go, and you can adjust that in any kind of which way that you would like. And then quite simply, all you have to do, because thanks to the magnets, is you literally drop the camera on top of there itself and you are good to go and you have your setup. Within the camera, I do have to switch to the ultra wide lens on the DJI for this to make sure that I capture everything, especially when using a smaller lens. I can just about get away with the wide lens if I'm using one of my longer lenses, because you'll see a little bit more, and very slightly just tip the camera forwards like that. And then all I do is when I'm out shooting, I'll find the scene that I want to capture a photo with, and just before I press the shutter button, I will just hit record on the top of the DJI and it will start recording, capture a little bit of my movement. I'll take the photo, and then when I'm editing I can just pull the two together, show you behind the scenes, and the final photo. So as I say, this is just such a game changer. But what's really nice is I can then pop that off and just have the camera free. My handheld mount, which is not really a mount, but I actually use the camera just in my hand quite a lot. I'll hold it out in front of me to speak, to vlog a little bit like that. Usually in the wide mode when I'm just vlogging, or I might just rest it on a wall or something that I can find, kind of bend down and speak to it. It's quite easy to put down because it's got a nice flat bottom on it. But onto my other mounts. Moving on from my hand mount is a little tripod, a mini tripod. If I'm somewhere where I know I want to do a lot of walkthrough shots, or maybe I think there's not going to be many places to rest things on, or I want to shoot some time lapses, things like that, I just have this little Manfrotto Pixie tripod, which I've had for absolutely years, to be honest, but it's absolutely solid as a rock. And on top of that, I simply have another mount. This is the original DJI mount that came with the camera, and that screws on via another 1/4 inch thread to the top of that tripod. You just switch between the two and quite easily just pop that on there and you're ready to rock and roll. Nice for time lapses to keep it nice and steady. The only other mount that I very occasionally use, and I use this when I'm on mostly on my bike, is a mouth mount. This has been custom made for me. You warm this section up and you bite into it so it fits into my mouth really nicely, and it's really secure. Like so. I can actually even kind of talk with it in. But you mount the camera to that, and then when I'm riding my bike I can get some nice handlebar shots. It's really stable. It's pretty cool for descending and things like that. If you've ever watched any of my vlogs, you do know I get about on a bike a bit as well, probably more so in the summer. It is really quite useful, this, because you can actually use it as a hand mount as well. You can then switch it to that kind of style and you get a nice stable mount to talk to. Now this is made by Pro Standard. There are a few styles of these, but this is probably the best one that I found so far. So between those mounts, that's what I use to capture my behind the scenes bits and pieces, and I find it works really well. I hope you found this useful. Any questions about it, do drop me a comment below, and I'll look forward to making more of these vlog style videos for you, and I will look forward to seeing you in one of them very soon.